the stat padding. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. There we go. The NBA season continues to be a disappointment, continues to be a circus. That's right. They played Wednesday night after taking a day off for the election. Nobody else had the day off. Nobody else who was in a sports league had the day off. Only the gifted, pampered NBA, right? The league whose ratings is falling off the map. A league where they tell you these guys are making record-breaking contracts and nobody is watching it. Nobody is watching this. Through the first, 7-8 games, they lost 1 million viewers compared to the last 7-8 games of last season. So, folks, it's getting worse. They're not trying to find a way to fix this thing. They're trying to make it worse. And last night, Lebron James stat pads all the way to a loss. Victor Wembanyama continues to be Victor Wembanyama, a bust. The Celtics lose without Jaylen Brown and was defeated by Golden State. Let's start there. I'm not going to take too much out of that game. You're losing. You don't have Porzingis. You don't have Jaylen Brown. So that was a game for Golden State to win. And they barely won. They barely won. So you can't put too much stock into that. I really wouldn't. I think when Jaylen Brown comes back, that's a lot of defense and a lot of offense right there with Jaylen Brown. Same thing with Porzingis. I guess we'll see. It's going to be hard for me to say that Golden State could beat the Celtics if they barely beat them with two of their best players. So we'll just leave that alone, really. We can say that Golden State, they have a good team. They have a good team. We'll see what happens. We know about injuries and all that stuff. You know, Curry could be hurt again. Buddy Hield could get hurt. You just don't never know what can happen. It's as far as who's the best in all this stuff, it's too early with injuries. Let's get into the stat pattern. What? This is common with this guy. This is common, and it's basically comical. It's comical with this guy. You're getting blown out the game, blown out, or you're blowing your opponent out, and you're out there stat padding, trying to get that 40 points that Michael Jordan had when he was 40 years old, right? I think Michael Jordan had 4 40-point games when he was 40 years old. This is on two-pointers, folks. This is on man-to-man defense. In many of these games, Michael Jordan shot 50% or more in these 40-point games. We told you last year that Michael Jordan had like 4 40-point games and 2 50-point games. LeBron was not able to achieve that. I think he got maybe 1 40-point games. Maybe 2. Don't hold me to it. I think it was 1. But Michael Jordan had like 4 40-point games at 38, 39, and he had 2 50-point games. And if I'm not, then he had 2 50-point games back to back or close to each other, right? That's when he would start to warm up, and that's when he came back from retirement. This is the time when he really started to warm up, when he had all those 40-point games at 38, 39, and those 2 50-point games, right? And then, of course, he blew out his knee, and it was over. You just didn't get to sit around and don't play no defense and sit at 3-point line back then. You actually had to play basketball, something that LeBron really endured when he came into the league, right? And that's why he wasn't an all-star his rookie season. He shot 41% from the field, was a minus 44 for the season, and what was it? Didn't make the playoffs his first 2 seasons. So that just goes to show you. And LeBron actually had an all-star teammate the second season and didn't make the playoffs. But that's never mentioned. That's been, I can't think of the word. But they pretty much put that out of history, right? That's, it's gone. It don't exist. That he had an all-star teammate his second season. Imagine that. They said Scottie Pippen saved Michael Jordan with his 7 points per game in the playoffs. A bench player took Michael Jordan to the second round while Michael Jordan averaged like 55 points in that series. This is ridiculous. So, yeah, LeBron James stat pads in a blowout. He's getting blown off the floor by Memphis. Who is Memphis? I mean, yeah, they got, the sharpshooter, literally, John Morant. They got him, but who else do they really have? They got LeBron, right? Don't they say LeBron is better than AD, the 7th best player in the league? That's what we were told. LeBron is the 7th best player in the league, right? And instead of saving himself for the rest of the season, he's in there getting blown off the floor. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. It was a minus 21. He took 24 shots, took 11 threes, hit 6. He shot under 40%. Hold on. No, he didn't. His field goal percentage wasn't bad, but if he wasn't shooting threes, he was doing dunks and layups. Besides the point, he cannot will that team to a victory. Memphis, who is Memphis? Nobody. They don't. Please. So, at this stage, without AD, LeBron, it's been at every stage since he's been with the Lakers. He's just out there to collect the check. They let Bronny in because they were getting blown out. Instead of sitting LeBron down, they let Bronny in for another circus act, because that's basically what Bronny is, right? He's a circus act, and they take him, stadium to stadium or arena to arena as the circus act. He's nothing more than a circus act. That's all he is. That's all he'll ever be, right? So instead of sending him down to the D League or the G League, whatever it's called, and him getting embarrassed down there because they know he's never going to be able to come back up to the NBA if he goes down there. Instead of, what's this would that make, right? You send him down there with those guys and they destroy him, and you have no justification why you're bringing him back up if he's getting destroyed down there. Instead, you just sit him on the bench and you let him practice with you guys like he's a real NBA player, right? So seriously, his son, Bryce, probably won't even deserve to make a college roster. He'll get picked up for an NIL deal or something like that, so he can bring money to a college team. And I got to go see him play, see what his skills is. I guess he's going to some college next year, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's going to come to the NBA. But this is going to be funny, because if we got a lot of hoopla around Bronny, right? That he was this 5-star recruit and all this stuff, and McDonald's All-American. And then when he came into the college, he did nothing. He was like the 4th leading scorer. They don't give me an excuse he had a heart attack. Well, he should have never played again if he had those type of conditions. And he actually did play again. So he wasn't doing good before that thing, and he didn't do good after it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what college they can get Bryce into. It's not going to be hard to get him into a college, because he's going to be another circus, right? He's a sideshow. He's a circus, and he's going to make some college money. This is all these guys care about, really, right? Is money. The James family, they don't care about nothing else. They don't have any integrity. They really don't have any basketball skill, right? I think I'm going to make a meme later on, right? LeBron James, the GOAT. And then, I'm not going to say it because somebody else will make it. It's an easy meme to make, and it's going to be funny as hell. And I'm surprised somebody didn't make it already. But this is going to be hilarious. I think they had LeBron James. Somebody made a meme, right? And I think this is some guy's channel, and they compare athletes and people, and then they put them next to each other. Well, athletes and musicians, musicians and, whatever, Hollywood actors. And they put two guys next to each other, and it says their name, I don't know, their birthday, their occupation, and then all these different details, and it shows how much they're worth. And they had LeBron next to Ronaldo, right? Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think Christian was like almost, he was in the hundreds of millions, his net worth, and then it was LeBron James, $1 billion. And it's just so funny that, when I get going, I get going. You can't stop me. My mind is just all over the place. I don't have like a teleprompter. I'm not reading off a script or Nothing like that. It's just off dome. That's what it is. So sometimes I just get, and we changed the channel to off script, but I changed it back. I changed it to off script because we talk about many subjects on this channel, and we're not scared like, a lot of channels. But when I changed it, a lot of people couldn't find my channel, because YouTube always, they make sure that my channel really isn't seen, right? If I'm not talking about LeBron James, they don't want it to be seen because they don't want, anybody talking about the reality of life, basically. And we all know they don't want my channel seen, period, because it's not monetized. If you're not monetized, they're really not going to put your channel out there, really to be seen like that. And look, I'm not going to sell my soul. We talked about this last time. I'm not selling my soul for money. I'm not. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to shut up and conform and stay in line with the rest of the YouTubers, right? I'm going to say what I want to say about whatever I want to say, whatever I feel. I'm not going to, I can't say this, I can't say that, because if I say this, I'm not going to make no money. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for money. So my thing was when they put Cristiano Ronaldo, if I'm saying his name right, next to LeBron James, this is what I'm saying, guys. A loser has made $1 billion. This guy has made $1 billion off of losing, right? A 4-6 loser in the finals, 6 finals blowout losses, never even seen a game 7. And people say, man, he went to game 6. That ain't no 6 final blowout losses. Bro, go look at those game 6s where he lost in game 6. It was over in the 4th quarter. Dude was just in there stat padding. And that's what we're talking about right here in this game. Stat padding. That's all this guy does. He's not a real basketball player. When we talk about this guy made $1 billion off of losing, he can't shoot the 3%. Well, I know he's shooting a lot of threes this year, right? But his overall 3-point percentage is 34%. 34%. So what he's trying to do, he's trying to change his legacy, right? By shooting all these threes and everybody's perception of him being a shooter, right? Because he plays in this so-called greatest shooting era of all time, right? Everybody wants to be Curry. So what they do is they take all these threes just to make it look like they're great 3-point shooters, right? Back then, you only took an average of maybe like, per player, 0 to 3 threes a game, maybe 4. We actually played positional basketball. And it's people like Steve Kerr, and when I see these old coaches pop and all these coaches now coaching this trash game, it's sad. Because they know they didn't play in this type of basketball era that is showcased right now. It's just dudes chucking up threes, for better or for worse. There's no positional skills, nothing like that. Nothing like that. They don't yell at players. They don't run no great offense. It's just pick and pop, pick and pop, pick and pop. What's up? And then they tell you that guys in the past eras, if they shot 11 to 15 threes a game, couldn't hit 38% of them. So yeah, LeBron James in the greatest shooting era of all time don't even belong in the shooting era, right? Don't even belong, because he's not a shooter. If you ever watch this guy shoot, it's the weirdest thing. He looks like a football player shooting basketball or shooting the ball. It looks ridiculous. This guy has no form. It just, he don't look like a Tracy McGrady shooting or a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or none of these great shooters, Ray Allen, the great shooters. And this is what I'm going to tell you guys. This guy is like hiding. And this is what he does anyways. He always gets credit for something that he's not. But again, he's acting like that he plays in the greatest shooting era of all time, and he's a part of it. And he's a part of it. 37% from mid-range for his career, 73% from the free throw line. And that'll tell you every time if you're a good shooter, the great shooter, your free throw percentage, right? Usually if you shoot in the 90s, forget about it. You're a good to great 3-point shooter, right? If you shoot in the 80s, you're a good mid-range shooter, and you could be, okay at 3 at times. If you shoot in the 70s and below, You're just not a good shooter on the floor. You're just not. Now, as a big man, I guess that would be okay, right? If you shot in the 70s, if you're I don't know, if you're 6'10", you're 7 foot, maybe that's okay. But this clown right here, LeBron James, he has no bag. That's what they talk about in this. A bag. Everything in the greatest shooting era of all time, the greatest dribbling era of all time, all this stuff, LeBron is not. He's not. He's not. This is almost like, he's going into these different eras, but don't belong in them. He has no business in them. His skill set doesn't match up to the eras. It's almost like, him coming to the Lakers. What did he come to the Lakers for? He came to the Lakers to pretty much poop on the legacies of Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal. That's what he came to the Lakers for. And where it started was, it doesn't matter what championships with this guy. What matters is how many accumulative points he can stack up, right? So I'm not going to stay in Cleveland, right? I'm 3-6. It don't matter if I even get to 6-6 in the rest of my career. I'm not going to catch Michael Jordan. It makes no sense. Even if I got to 6-6, you can't catch Michael Jordan. Even with rings, even with body of work, 10 scoring titles, 3 steals titles, 6-0 in the finals, 10 scoring titles. If I didn't say that, I mean, it just goes on and on. So I can't catch Michael Jordan. So I'm going to go over there and just piss all over everybody's legacy that played in the past for the Lakers, right? And first of all, I'm gonna start with the points title. I hate when people say scoring title. Scoring title. A scoring title is something you get every year, right? This guy has points title. Don't ever confuse this guy with a great scorer. Yes, he's a good scorer for a guy who does dunks and layups. A good scorer, right? While he lifts weights and gets big on skinny 3-point shooters, right? A guy who got big while the rest of the league got smaller. What sense does that make? Michael Jordan had to get big while the league got big. Michael Jordan got bigger because the league got bigger. The 90s was a thing where people in general, really, bodybuilding was at an all-time high in the 90s, right? It was something big. So people were lifting weights. Fitness was something big in the 90s. What was it? The strongman contest, the Mr. Olympia, that thing was big. So fitness and weightlifting was something big in the 90s, right? Well, coming out of the 80s, coming into the 90s, right? LeBron James, instead of working on his game, and the center started to die out, the big men started to die out in the 2000s, and just being big in general, and the NBA died out. And then what does this guy do? I seen this in high school. I want to do a whole video on how little this guy was in his freshman year and then in his senior year. Now, I'm not talking about height-wise. I'm talking about muscle-wise. And people say, what's wrong with lifting weights? Nothing. But this trend did not start of LeBron getting big just in the NBA. And this trend of LeBron not being able to be a good to great shooter did not start in the NBA. It just started in college. I mean, not college, high school. This guy was doing dunks and layups on academy school kids, being bigger than everybody else physically, and using his physicality against everybody else. Straight arms and elbows to the basket. So yeah, this guy can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot the mid-range. He can't shoot threes. 4-6 loser, choke artist, meltdown king, super team builder. Never won a championship without a super team. Curry, 2 championships without a super team. LeBron, 0. So folks, this is what I'm saying. This guy has made $1 billion off of losing, off of choking, off of not having a bag, not having a skill set. None of this. Basically being a circus act, right? I'm taking my talents to South Beach. This is a circus act. I'm going to take my talents. That's what the circus does. They take their talents from city to city, from town to town, right? They don't stay in one place. They don't have a home. LeBron James is a circus act. And this guy has made, supposedly, let's see if he'll be reading from a teleprompter. Can't even read in the first place. But let's see if he'll be reading from a teleprompter, sitting on a desk with makeup on when he retires. Like most of these players do, or these players do, who claim they made all this money playing sports, tens of millions and hundreds of millions, and suddenly they have to live their life reading off live the rest of their life reading off a teleprompter. Could you imagine making money like that? You imagine making money like that, and then you still got to go out and work when you retire. You know, make tens of millions, hundreds of millions. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just the bullcrap money we make. You can't even imagine. They're saying these guys make all this money, but yet when they retire, they still got to go back to work. Look, it's the equivalent of you basically retiring from your job. Now you get Social Security. Now you're getting maybe hundreds of thousands in the bank. You're getting pension. You're getting your 401k. And then you just got to go back to work for whatever reason. They can't explain why these people still got to work and do all these things once they retire with tens of millions and hundreds of millions, but they still got to go work, right? Now, they got to have podcasts, right? These NBA players that made tens of millions of dollars, they got to have podcasts. Some of them work. They got to go coach and make money. Where'd all this money go to? There's not one day I will work if I retired after making tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. Did they really make this kind of money? You got to be asking yourself, is this whole thing just a lie? And I know people's going to make up excuses. That's why stuff is like it is today, because adults are like little kids, right? Kids make up excuses on why they did this, why that, because they're kids. They don't know no better. But these are adults now. They make up excuses and try to excuse what the reality of it is. What the reality of this stuff not making no sense, folks. The sense that these guys, from when they was in middle school or high school, whatever like that, and then they retired, they play for 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years, and now they got to go work again after they made tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. How does that make any sense? Keep my channel unmonetized. Doesn't make any sense. So I'm done with Victor Wembanyama. I'm done. This guy goes out and poops his pants again, 15 points. He only took 14 shots or something like that. Bricked it up from 3, 1 to 6. This guy is get out of my face, man. I ain't got nothing for this guy. All I'm gonna do is poop on this guy all season. What's wrong with this guy? People saying, "Oh man, it's just a couple games." This is when you're supposed to come into the season, show up and show out, and put the hammer down. Do you come to your job at work and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna, be good until halfway through the work year"? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. All these all-time greats. In their first, second season, they took the league by storm. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Kareem, Hakeem, Michael Jordan, Bird, Magic. What are you talking about? The mentality of these fans is just weird. The mentality of these players. What do you mean, wait? Halfway through this, the dude literally should be coming in with the mindset, I didn't make the All-NBA team. I didn't get Defensive Player of the Year. I didn't win the gold medal. I'm not going to give all this attention to Bronny. I'm going to show these guys, nobody can stop me. I'm going to hit the low post, throw the ball to me. I'm turning around and dunking at 5'7" on everybody. Who can stop me? But instead, I'm going to sit out there and shoot threes. You got... At 7'5", I'm going to waste half of my shots or more shooting threes at 7'5". Man, you got to wait, man. Man only played that game. The man is stinking it up. He is barely averaging double digit points. Barely averaging double-digit rebounds. Just like he's averaging 3 to 4 blocks a game just by putting his damn hand up and putting forth no effort because he's 7'5" is the same way he can go down to the post, give me the ball, and I'm just dunking over this guy. You come to double me, I'm kicking out to the real three-point shooters on my team. This is so easy. It's easy. Have somebody tell, oh, Pop's sick, man. Why you beating up on Pops like that? Well, get up, well, go home, Pops. This is what I'm talking about. This guy's supposed to make all this money. Go sit down. What are you doing? It's over. The Tim Duncan era is over. You ain't did nothing since the Tim Duncan era was over because you played the game and you coached the game right. You coached it right. Tim Duncan wasn't out there shooting 16 threes a game, 10 threes a game. What are you doing? That's what I'm saying. These coaches today, they look weird trying to coach in this nonsense NBA. It's just a pickup game. It's not a real NBA. If people like Victor Wembanyama don't want to change it, he wants to conform with the nonsense. What do you get a call from the league? You better not get on that post. You better not get down in that post, son. You better not get down there looking like Will Chamberlain. You better stay on that three-point line. We don't want this game going back to a normal game. Because that's what people thought. People thought, okay, Joker, Embiid, here comes, Victor Wembanyama, and Victor Wembanyama really is going to bring back the big man game. That's what people thought. This guy's an idiot. I got to get off here. Oh, the NBA is a mess. They let Bronny in yesterday to, get his circus act points. It's ridiculous, man. Tell me what you think.